So you want to buy a Harley and you don't really know exactly what you should be looking out for. Well, today we're going to go over everything that you need to be concerned about on any twin cam Harley Davidson between the years 1999 and 2016. So this is my 2004 Road King Classic. Here's a few of the things on an old bike like this you need to be aware of. Almost everyone I know already knows about the dreaded spring-loaded cam chain tensioners, which are used on 99 to 06 twin cams using the 88 cubic inch motor. The problem with the spring-loaded tensioners is that they put so much pressure, because they're spring-loaded, into the cam chain that the shoe can actually wear out and explode, which then sends the rest of the spring-loaded like carrier part of it into the cam chain, destroying the oil pump, destroying the cam plate, causing a lot of damage, possibly causing you to have a new motor. That's not always the case, but it is a possibility. It's getting hot out here. These are spring-loaded cam chain tensioners. This is the whole assembly, as you can see right here. Spring, piece of metal, plastic shoe. And this is a shoe that was worn almost all the way through. If this is what your tensioners are looking like, you really need to replace them. You can see right through that right there. So this is the main, most talked about failure point on all these 88 cubic inch motors. These cam chain tensioners, regardless of what anyone says, it's the first thing I check. I don't care if you have a receipt that says that you replace them with hydraulics. It's a pretty straightforward process to inspect them. I'm doing it just for peace of mind and my own little, insurance policy, I guess. So yeah, cam chain tensioners, for sure check those. The next thing that you need to be aware of on all these 88 cubic inch twin cams is the external oil lines. Now, you typically can't see them because they're under a cover, but they do tend to leak quite frequently, and it can be kind of a pain to change, but it could also be a bargaining chip for you buying a used bike. Those oil lines are up underneath this cover right here, and I'll take it off in just a second to show you exactly what I'm talking about. This one has a hard line for the vent right there. You can see that hard line has seen better days, but it's not necessarily a bad thing if you don't have the hard line. All right, so right there are those two oil lines I was talking about. You have a feed and a return right there. They're prone to breaking, and it can cause you some problems. Obviously develop a leak right there, so that could be an issue. These are typically an easy fix. The only thing that you will have to get is a stepless hose clamp plier tool. The other thing you're gonna have to be considerate of is the starters. Now, these starters, the solenoids are rebuildable. I've never actually rebuilt the motor. I do think there's a few companies that will rebuild these. Normally I just get a Drag Specialties one or an All Balls Racing one. I'm not sponsored by them, but I will say that All Balls and the Drag Specialties starters have never really let me down. I tried to rebuild this one. I even repainted it and everything. When I put it back in, the motor itself won't spin. So these motors typically have a lot of like cranking force on them. Even though it's an 88 cubic inch, they do tend to wear out starters, so just be considerate of that. You can hear it going out. Sometimes it's just the starter clutch, which is a much easier process to change. All the 88 cubic inch, and I believe even some of the 96 cubic inch twin cam baggers and Softails, Dynas, all that jazz, have starters that you have to unbolt the jack shaft from, which can tend to be kind of a pain in the ass because you have to take the primary off. So it's not just pop the two bolts out, remove a couple wires, and like go on about your day. They are still easy enough to do by yourself as a guy with like minimal tools in your own garage. You don't need anything crazy to do your starter. I will say an impact makes it a lot easier to remove the starter jackshaft bolt, but you can just hold it or wedge something in between the gears so it doesn't spin. So far we got watch out for your cam chain tensioners, watch out for starters, watch out for oil lines. I know it sounds like you're getting yourself into a big old pile of shit. Honestly, you can tend to tell how well a motorcycle was taken care of once you get there and start looking at it. I have a prime example of what not to buy, but so far it's only cost me $500 because I bought those Road Kings as a pair. Click up in the top left or right, whatever side it is, and watch the video about the two Road Kings I bought. because I'm keeping one of them. And right now I only have $500 into it because I sold its big brother, or its twin brother. Moving on to the next topic of concern. All right, so I know I've been dogging on the 88 cubic inch motors for the past 5 or so minutes, but I will say next up kind of is a plague to every Harley. It's kind of just one of those things you have to deal with. This inner shifter shaft right here, this one's pretty solid, but they tend to get really like floppy. You can kind of like rattle the whole shifter shaft if this is going out. Now, this is one of those things that if it is going out, I would definitely point it out to whoever you're buying the bike from and try to get some money off for it, because changing this part isn't just popping the bolt out from inside of there. Can't really get a good view, but changing this shifter arm out involves removing the whole primary, the compensator, the clutch basket, the inner primary, and if you're going to pay somebody to do it, it's going to be a decent bit of parts and labor. So this is my FXR. You can see that this doesn't have a whole lot of play right there, but this one does. It has a lot of play. It hasn't came off yet. I can't tighten it up anymore, but it is actually wearing out inside of the splines on this piece itself. So I know, pot calling the kettle black, but I tend to tell people to avoid Amazon parts, but this is one of those things where it was going to be the fastest option, and it's lasted for like 4,000 miles. So I mean, for 20 bucks, can't complain a whole lot, but that definitely needs to be replaced. I'm going to end up having to change this whole assembly right here, but this one's way easier to change than that one. Now, I know I've been absolutely ragging on these Harleys, and you might be considering, is it even worth buying one? And I would say yes, but I'm also really biased. Harleys are my favorite motorcycle, no matter how bad they are or in terrible condition they are. It's my favorite thing. All right, so next one up is really just every Harley thing again, especially Harleys that have aftermarket bars on them, is the bushings. Prime example on this one, because I put these bars on here for mock-up to see exactly how I'd like them, but that right there, you don't want. The front wheel is not moving, but I'm able to twist the riser bushings. So that's another bargaining chip. Pretty easy job to change out. Like I said, street glides and electric glides, all them with the fairing mounted to the triple trees. The hardest ones to do, not impossible to do by yourself, just something to be aware of. On an extreme setup like this, it's recommended that you use either a solid riser bushing or something that's really strong and durable, because if you use the softer compounds, yes, they will be better on your hands and better at controlling vibrations, but they will wear out quicker, especially with the amount of force that you can apply to the bushings with a taller setup, such as 14-inch risers and a 3-inch rise bar. That setup that's on the Road King next to me, that is a 10-inch setup. Actually, that's a 8.5-inch riser setup with a little bit of pullback and like a tracker low bar. So that you could probably get away with running a stock style riser bushing. Those ones just happen to be blown out, and I also don't have the washers on the top. But your riser bushings, if you start to feel that you can like force the bars back and forth, again, something to be concerned about when checking out a used bike. Another thing you need to be aware of, which really only plagues the 99 through 2001 and some later year Evos, which is the Magnelli-Morelli fuel injection system. It's known to be extremely problematic. It's known to have a lot of issues, and it's one of those things that if you can avoid it, either get a bike with a carburetor on it or get a bike with the Delphi injection system. Easiest way to tell is, I'll put a little picture on the screen, but the Magnelli-Morelli is like a twin barrel fuel injection system, and it has multiple lines going to the bottom side of the tank. The solution for them is typically the computer will go out and it won't actually respond to the map sensor or any of the other sensors on the throttle body itself, which will basically lead you to either getting another used computer or throwing on something like a Thunder Max, which is big money. There are conversions to convert a Magnelli-Morelli bike to a carburetor, which is pretty easy. It's a very simple setup, but it is time consuming and kind of expensive. The more expensive route is the Thunder Max or Zippers Performance also makes a kit to where you can convert your Magnelli Morelli system to a Delphi system, which is the Delphi is what's on my Road King over there. Both of those are pretty time consuming and expensive conversions to do, which will leave your bike down and prevent you from riding. So if you can avoid it, definitely stay away from the Magnelli Morelli systems. I know guys that have had them for years and they love them. They don't have any problems, but it's one of those things where it's kind of like, is it a ticking time bomb or is it something that's going to last forever? Who knows? I've done more carb conversions on Magnelli Morelli systems than I can count. It's been a pretty significant issue for a lot of the older bikes that are around my area and back when I was at the shop. So carburetor or Delphi EFI. Obviously you want to check all the other stuff that involves a used motorcycle, such as the tires, and you want to check out, make sure there's no leaks, make sure the belt is not missing any teeth. Those were pretty much the biggest issues that could plague your motorcycle. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Should I add anything? Or do you have anything that other people should be aware of when checking out these older bikes? Definitely, anything can go wrong with any motorcycle. Any starter could go out, any charging system can go out, any wire could be broken on any motorcycle. But those were the things that you should be aware of if you're looking at buying any twin cam Harley Davidson specifically. Now, that's pretty much it. I got to go make dinner. Anyway, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.